Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Keith, and today I'll be talking about the 5 tips of highly successful students. If you don't know me, I'm a senior in high school and I'm passionate about how we can live fulfilling, productive, and intentional lives. So without further ado, let's go to the first habit. The first habit I'll talk about is about boosting energy. So students aren't robots, and throughout the day, we're eventually going to get tired at times. And a lot of people don't realize this, but spending a small amount of time proportionate to the amount of work you do to increase your energy actually gives you a lot more return. So some habits that you could form are whenever you feel tired, go for a run or go exercise, eat some fruit or something healthy, or you could just go take a 10 to 20 minute nap. And the habit that you form is going to be tailored to your individual needs. So some people might prefer exercising because they think it gives them more energy, and after they take a shower or whatever, they feel excited or ready to do work afterwards. Or you may be a person who prefers to take a 10-minute nap, and when you wake up you feel well rested. The point is, these habits are often overlooked as small things that don't really do that much for your overall studying or your student life. And in the fit of frustration when we're trying to finish homework, we forget that what we need is a break to gather some energy. In the end, it takes a relatively small amount of effort and time to boost your energy levels, but it pays off in the long run when you realize that you can use these habits to boost your energy whenever you feel like you need to. Now, the second habit is about learning how to stay disconnected from online and in-person activities. It's obvious we need to stay disconnected from our phones or the internet at times, and I think a lot of people realize that. What I don't think people realize is that sometimes you do need to spend time away from social in-person activities as well. During or after school, you can easily get dragged into friend groups and study sessions where you pretend you're doing work and you feel like you're being productive, but in reality, you're just messing around and having a good time. There isn't anything inherently wrong. A good student realizes that, hey, if I take a step back from this social group and I go study on my own and stay extremely focused, I can complete that work in 3/4 of the time and then get back to being fully present with my group of friends when I'm finished with all my homework. Because you've built up this habit of being able to disconnect yourself, it becomes a lot easier for you to disconnect for a few hours and finish your homework and then join back in, rather than pretending to work and hanging out with your friends for an extremely long time and finding yourself not having completed all your homework at the end of the day. Moving on, habit number 3 is learning how to take notes using the QEC format. Now, I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but efficient students don't use pure memorization to learn material in school. And while some of us can get away with it in high school and even college, there's a more effective way to be studying, and it's called active recall. So basically, instead of rereading your notes and rereading your textbook over and over again, you test yourself on the material that you need to know. One thing I've realized is that a lot of students actually know about active recall. They know that in order for you to effectively learn the material, you need to test yourself, but a lot of people don't do it. And I think the reason is because of the notes that they take. The notes that you take are by nature meant to be memorized. You write them and you indent for specific subtopics, and it's really difficult to test yourself on that. You have to create a separate document and then create the questions, test yourself on that. But that takes a lot of time and that creates a lot of friction. What I recommend is having the active recall mindset right when you take your notes. And one way to do this is to use the question, evidence, conclusion method. So instead of writing down bullet points, start off by writing the question that the teacher is trying to answer. Hopefully that'll be on your lecture slides, or the teacher will just say it outright. And if they don't, you can always come back to the question later. The next part is evidence. Now, writing down evidence is most similar to what you're probably used to when you wrote your old notes, which is basically bullet points. You write down every point that your teacher makes when trying to answer that question. Finally, for the conclusion, you summarize all those bullet points in the evidence and come up with a 1 to 2 sentence answer for the question that you wrote at the beginning. Now, when you come back to actively recall or to review your notes, all you have to do is cover up the evidence and conclusion section, read the question, and then try to reconstruct the conclusion as best as you can. And to check your answers, all you have to do is just look at the notes that you've already taken down. So basically what you've done by using the QEC method is that you've created a test for your future self whenever you come back and review those notes. The fourth habit is writing essays over 3 days. Now, if you're anything like me, you hate having to write essays. And one of the ways that I found myself being able to reduce my hatred for writing essays is by splitting up the writing process into 3 days. On the first day, you gather quotes, evidence, do research, and create a rough outline. On the second day, you focus solely on writing a draft. And then on the third day, you edit the draft. You're mainly looking for analytical mistakes, clarity, and grammar and structure mistakes. By splitting up your essay into 3 days, you lessen the pain that you have to undertake in 1 day. And you also reduce the dreadfulness that you feel because you're not doing everything and cramming it into a single all-nighter. The fifth habit is knowing when to quit. So it's a common misconception that the best students are, working all the time, have no free time, or sleeping 2 hours a day, pulling all-nighters. But in reality, that misconception is extremely unhealthy and not the way that you want to be thinking. Instead, you want to carve into your mind the idea of a good student who knows when to quit when they just have too much on their plate. And knowing when to quit comes in 2 parts. First, in terms of academics, and second, in terms of extracurriculars. So for example, in a class, if you're struggling to do the homework on time, it's taking 3 hours a day, and you're just not getting enough sleep, you can't socialize with your friends, and knowing when to step down or knowing when to quit from those courses will give you more time to work on things that you're actually interested in or things that you're just better at. The second part is that a smart student also knows when to decrease the amount of extracurricular activities. A lot of students have the misconception that doing a lot of club activities will boost my profile, will make me happier, will make me more successful. But the truth is, doing too much will stretch your plate too thin, and you just won't have enough time to fully invest yourself in each of the activities that you're doing. A good student knows what activities take too long or what activities they're just not interested in, and focus in on 2 or 3 that they are truly passionate about. And within those 2 or 3 activities, they're able to devote much more time to them. And by doing that, they're able to achieve better things, more recognition, more success, more achievements, rather than having to split their attention between a lot more clubs and not being able to achieve anything substantial within those activities. And that's it, guys, for this video. I hope you got something useful out of these 5 habits that you can use to improve your student life. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and liking down below. I'll see you next time.